Choosing one, have you ever felt not exhausted, but internally scattered? You're working, you're scrolling, you're responding, you're even praying. But your attention is never fully there. And maybe that's the real problem. In 2026, the greatest spiritual threat isn't open rebellion. It isn't even obvious temptation. It's fragmentation. We assume our biggest battle is against sin. But what if our real battle is against distraction? Your phone isn't just stealing your time. It's reshaping your inner world. Because wherever your attention goes, your soul slowly follows. Attention is not just focus. Attention is formation. What you repeatedly look at, think about, compare yourself to, react to, is quietly shaping who you're becoming. If your attention lives in comparison, your soul will grow restless. If your attention lives in achievement, your soul will grow anxious. If your attention lives in notifications, your soul will never feel settled. And here's the uncomfortable question. If the enemy wanted to weaken your spiritual depth today, would he need to destroy your faith? Or would he just need to keep you constantly distracted? Not sinful, not rebellious, just scattered. We live in a culture where being busy is praised, where constant stimulation feels normal, where silence feels suspicious. But the soul doesn't grow in noise. It doesn't mature in speed. It doesn't deepen in constant reaction. The soul requires presence, and presence requires attention. Maybe you felt this. You open your Bible, but after 2 paragraphs, your mind drifts. You're in conversation, but half of you is mentally elsewhere. You pray, but there's this quiet restlessness underneath it. That's not spiritual failure. That's attention fatigue. And when attention becomes fractured, faith begins to feel shallow, even if your beliefs haven't changed. This is the hidden crisis of modern spirituality. We're not losing belief. We're losing depth. We're not rejecting God. We're just rarely present long enough to experience Him. But here's the hope. This war inside your soul isn't permanent. Attention can be retrained. Presence can be rebuilt. Depth can return. But first, we have to understand what's actually happening to us. So what's actually happening to us? Why does our attention feel weaker than it used to? It's not because you're lazy. It's not because you don't love God enough. It's not because your faith is fading. It's because your nervous system is overloaded. We are the first generation in history whose minds are exposed to more information in one day than previous generations encountered in weeks. Your brain is constantly scanning, constantly switching, constantly anticipating the next input. And every time you switch tasks, from email to text, from text to Instagram, from Instagram to news, from news to YouTube, you're training your brain to crave novelty, not depth. Novelty gives you dopamine. Depth requires patience. And dopamine is fast. Silence is slow. Here's where this becomes spiritual. God rarely competes with noise, not because He's weak, but because depth requires consent. A relationship cannot form where attention is divided every few seconds. If someone tried to talk to you while checking their phone every 10 seconds, you wouldn't feel connected. You would feel unseen. Now ask yourself gently, how often does God receive that version of you? This is not about guilt. This is about awareness. The modern attention economy profits from keeping you slightly restless, never fully satisfied, never fully present, never fully at peace. Because a peaceful person doesn't scroll as much. A grounded person doesn't compare as much. A secure person doesn't chase as much, but a distracted person, that's profitable. And what's profitable for the system is often exhausting for the soul. Over time, something subtle happens. You begin to feel spiritually dry. Not because God moved, but because your inner stillness eroded. You try to pray longer, but your thoughts race. You try to worship, but you feel numb. You assume something is wrong with your faith, but maybe nothing is wrong with your faith. Maybe your attention has just been fragmented into 1,000 tiny pieces. And a fragmented mind struggles to experience a whole God. Here's a deeper layer. When attention fractures, identity begins to fracture too. Because identity is shaped by what you consistently behold. If you consistently behold curated lives, your identity becomes comparative. If you consistently behold outrage, your identity becomes reactive. If you consistently behold success metrics, your identity becomes performance-driven. But if you consistently behold God, your identity stabilizes, not perfectly, but steadily. The war inside your soul isn't loud, it's subtle. It's fought in micro moments. Will I sit in silence for 60 seconds? Or reach for my phone? Will I stay present in this discomfort? Or numb it? Will I give my full attention to this conversation? Or split it? Tiny decisions, massive formation. And here's the uncomfortable truth. You cannot have a deep spiritual life with shallow attention habits. It's not condemnation, it's design. The depth of your attention determines the depth of your experience. But don't lose hope, because attention isn't something you either have or don't have. It's something you train. So how do you reclaim your attention without turning this into another extreme rule? Not by deleting everything, not by moving to the mountains, not by shaming yourself every time you get distracted. You rebuild attention the same way it was lost. Small moments, repeated. 1. Start with 1 minute of undivided presence. Not an hour, not a spiritual marathon. 1 minute, sit still, no music, no phone, no multitasking, just breathe. And gently bring your mind back when it drifts. This isn't about performance. It's about retraining your nervous system to tolerate stillness again. Because many of us aren't addicted to noise. We're uncomfortable with silence. And silence is where the soul begins to settle. 2. Give God your first attention. Not your leftover attention before notifications, before email, before headlines, even if it's 5 quiet minutes. What you give your first attention to shapes your emotional baseline for the day. If your first input is comparison, your mind will run on comparison. If your first input is anxiety-driven news, your body will carry anxiety. But if your first attention is grounded in truth, your soul stabilizes before the world starts pulling at it. Not perfectly, but noticeably. 3. Practice single-task presence. When you're in a conversation, be fully there. When you're working, close the extra tabs. When you're praying, let it be simple. Attention strengthens when it stops splitting. You don't need a dramatic lifestyle change. You need fewer divided moments. 4. Replace numbing with noticing. Most distraction is avoidance. We reach for our phones not because we need information, but because we don't want to feel something. Loneliness, uncertainty, restlessness, fear of falling behind. Instead of numbing it instantly, try noticing it. Right now, I feel anxious. Right now, I feel insecure. Right now, I feel behind. When you name it, it loses some of its power. And suddenly your attention isn't running from you anymore, it's staying with you. Here's the quiet shift. This isn't about becoming a monk. It's about becoming present. Because presence is where intimacy forms. Presence is where clarity grows. Presence is where God feels less distant. The war inside your soul is not about whether you believe. It's about whether you're available. And maybe this is the sentence you need to hear. You are not spiritually weak. You are overstimulated. You are not faithless. You are fragmented. And fragmentation can be healed, one intentional moment at a time. Imagine what your inner life would feel like if your attention wasn't constantly being pulled. Imagine praying without mental chaos, working without scattered energy, resting without guilt, living without comparison, humming in the background. That kind of peace isn't unrealistic, it's just unfamiliar. But it becomes familiar when you protect your attention like it's sacred. Because it is. If this conversation resonated with you, don't rush past it, sit with it. And if you're ready to go deeper into building a calm, grounded faith in a distracted world, like the video, subscribe to the channel. And in the comments, tell me this. Where does your attention get pulled the most right now? Let's start the conversation.